We've been together for a long, long time. I know her when I used to have the show down at Bowie, and it's my honor and my pleasure to welcome her to Color Me Poetry one more again.
Well,
thank you, sister, for coming and sharing Color Me Poetry.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to be here because, Danny, you're an institution in Prince George's County.
Never thought about it.
Absolutely. Without your legacy, a lot of folks would have to start from ground zero. But thanks to what you've given, we are off and running. So we look forward to you continuing it.
I remember you used to come down to Bowie. Sometimes you'd come by yourself. Sometimes you'd come with collective voices.
Yeah, Lady Di.
Lady Di.
And Billy O'Carroll.
Billy. Yeah. Lady Di's been on. Billy's been on.
I've seen Lady Di on. I didn't see Billy on.
Oh, you didn't see Billy?
No, I didn't see Billy. But Billy's I know wonderful. That they're both continuing to share, to write and share their incredible poetry.
Well, now, how long you been doing it? Well, let me start from the beginning for people who don't know. How did you get started writing, Sister Joy?
Oh, my goodness. I started as a child, but I wrote one poem. And for years, literally 20 years, I never wrote another poem.
Really?
It was a poem that was written about Dr. King's assassination, and I was in middle school. Back then they called it junior high.
Yeah, that was junior high.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, we're telling our age now.
Yeah, we are. I'll tell you even more so.
Wasn't no middle, it was just junior high.
Yes. So when Dr. King was assassinated, my English teacher gave the class assignment to write about how Dr. King's assassination affected you.
Wow.
And she didn't say write a poem, but that's what I did. I wrote a poem. And the school newspaper published that poem.
Oh, really?
And so I was honored, but it was initially a challenge because it was like, she didn't write that poem. She's the quietest person in the class, and the poem starts hate, hate, hate. So I was 14, so yes, 14. Do the math. Now you can figure out where Sister Joy was. But the reality is, not writing again until a colleague, when I was working, asked, as the world reflected at the 20th anniversary of Dr. King's assassination, do you recall what you were doing when Dr. King was assassinated? So, well, that was the question that the world was asking.
Yes.
And so truly, I thought about that poem. And upon resurrecting it, she encouraged me to share it with my community newspaper. It got published. People started calling. They said, I didn't know you were a poet. We want you to come to our school and talk to the children about poetry and Dr. King. And bring
but you
your
didn't know
poetry.
that at the time either.
No. But they were saying, and bring your poetry so you can. And I'm like, well, there is one poem. There is no poetry. And so at that juncture, 20 years later, it became apparent that I need to consider poetry.
But how did it feel knowing that people appreciated your
It was
poem at such a young
overwhelming.
age?
That's what I'm saying. It was overwhelming. And that was the thing that I knew I'd always loved writing. But upon the community outreach and feeling a need to address issues, social issues, because my father was a minister, and so I'd always heard him speak from the pulpit, and it was just one of those things that poetry became important and relevant, and the connection happened. So after 20 years, I finally, brick upside the head, thank you God, I started writing poetry.
That's a beautiful beginning, and so you've been doing it ever since that time?
Ever since that time.
Now, what inspires you to write, Sister Joy?
Life. There is nothing that poetry cannot relate to, that poetry cannot touch, that poetry cannot share.
I often say that poetry, that the arts in general, seem to have a creative mind of its own.
Oh yeah, well, poetry is a living, breathing thing. We poets are the vessels through which poetry is born. But for me, I believe poetry, I can think I'm going to write about A, and I'll end up writing about Z. Because poetry is alive, it takes you where it wants to go.
Now I've heard one of my favorite talk show hosts say that on XM. He says that journalists are the first drafters of history. Well, if journalists are in fact the first drafters of history, where do the poets come in?
The poets are the storytellers. We're the ones who convey in a way that allows the masses to relate to the issues.
I say poetry, we hand the torch to the journalists and all the other writers, but we were first.
Yeah, absolutely. Without the griot from the ancestors,
yes,
where would the history of humankind be? I mean, whether you want to talk about Africa, whether you want to talk about the Greeks, the poetry has been this mechanism through which the story of humankind has been handed down.
You know, speaking of the Greeks, they used to say when the muse come down on the artist, you lift it up out of yourself.
Right.
You know, you ever feel like that when you're writing?
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes it is not of me; it is through me.
Through you, yeah.
And it's something that you try to get out of the way. You want it to have its way because you know this is more. I mean, I've written about things that I truly have no knowledge of. That's such a transportive experience. I've written through tears. I mean, because the revelation is just so great, and you know that it's a visitation. So I love poetry, but it is something that is more than just a fun thing to do. It's important, and it allows communities to connect. It allows the message to be heard. You know, it allows healing.
So what poets, writers, songwriters, or other artists have influenced you? Or you have any favorites, or anybody who have influenced you in any way? I'm sure they have been.
So many. I mean, clearly Gwendolyn
Maya
Brooks.
or Nikki or
well, Gwendolyn Brooks is the front of the line.
Wow.
Maya, the word mastery, the connecting to our people in a way that breaks it down, keeps it real. Absolutely.
We cool.
Yeah, we real cool.
We real cool.
And
I love her.
That story, that very short poem is
so powerful.
It connects and it conveys so very much. So
one of my
Gwendolyn, Maya obviously, and of course nobody likes Maya like Lady Di. So
that's
my sister. Years ago I had to encourage her to recite her own poetry sometime instead of Maya's, but clearly Maya Angelou has influenced many.
You know, I don't think it's a point, but I like when Maya says, when people show you who they are,
believe them.
Believe them.
Yes.
That's so powerful.
So powerful. And that's a life lesson that many don't learn except through, battle and but it is such a truism. Yeah.
And I mean, I had some of her CDs too. I got this one CD, it's like a 3 CD set. And I found that, I don't know where I found it, some store. When I go, record stores, dated myself because we don't really have record stores per se now.
That's okay. I have a 3 CD set of Nikki Giovanni.
And, Nikki Giovanni. I love Nikki. I love some of her early recordings too.
Of course.
And I was about 13, 14. Sonia. My brother brought this album home with this baby face on it, and it's called "The Truth Is On Its Way."
Okay.
And that was my earliest introduction to Nikki Giovanni at that time. And she had poems on there like Ego Tripping and some of the other pieces on there. I just fell in love with that stuff. I wore the grooves out until it. You know how in the day you used to have these albums, right?
Play
and you play it until it turned white. On the grooves.
Well, I don't know that I've seen one turn white, but that's really the stories that are told through word masters such as Nikki and Sonia and Maya. And I mean, they kept our legacy, our history alive, and it passed the stories down from generation to generation.
And that's so important.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's part of what poetry is supposed to do.
Well, speaking of poetry, I know you got something you'd like to share, and I'd love to hear it.
Well, I have a short piece here that I always like to start out in tribute to poetry itself, and it's simply titled Queen. When the world echoes sounds that would keep us down, poetry sends back refrains that say, let me lift you. Let me give you insight to light your way. Unravel mysteries, cope with life's inconsistencies. Comprehend that uncertainty paves the road we all travel. Let me share truths from ancestors with youth and elder alike. Share with true seekers answers that empower. Let not the fear of this hour rob the world this cherished light or deny tomorrow its victory. This is the charge of poetry. For this she shall ever reign supreme as queen.
Wow, how beautiful, sister, how beautiful.
Thank you.
Without woman, a poem for all women of the world. Woman is the mother of man, represents the power of the Almighty's hand. Through all love, joy, pain, sorrow, and strife, woman is the lifeline to all human life. For where there's no she, there can be no he. And where there's no us, there could be no we. Only through the womb of woman's body and mind can man see himself in another place and time. there could be no woman, there could be no man. Without woman without woman as co-creator in God's master plan. For he who is without woman can never be made whole until he's learned to love from the depths of his soul. And though love can sometimes make you cry, yet while you laugh, man and woman will always be each other's better half. For where there's no she, there can be no he. And where there's no us, there could be no we. Without woman, without your sister, we'd be in a world of trouble.
Well, I mean, trust me,
Not
the
only that,
sisters
we wouldn't
without
be
the
here.
brothers, the sisters without the brothers would be equally amount of trouble.
Yeah, but when I think about the women in my life, my mother, my sister, all the females in my family, I'm like, wow, they all carried me. And my mother birthed me, of course, and carried me for 9 months. But there's other females also who carried me in another special kind of way, A couple of them dropped me, too.
That's what happened. Okay.
Yeah, like I love my auntie, but she scolded you now.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was necessary, and it's
Yeah.
necessary even now. Unfortunately, society is at a place where there's this dichotomy of thoughts, and, we have to find our way as far as making tomorrow possible. Because we're in trouble right now.
Yeah.
We're in trouble.
Yeah.
And even those who are causing the trouble acknowledge that. But sometimes when you're caught up and it's your heyday and it's your time
Yes.
and you don't want to let go of that light, and you're just like, well, I'm going to get mine now.
We're in trouble from the White House to the outhouse.
Yes, we are, but we're not going there right now.
America in the outhouse, but anyway.
Yes.
But it's all good. Now, what made you write that poem?
That poem, I was literally doing a tribute to poetry for a National Poetry Month celebration.
Oh, wow.
And that was the message that came to me. It was, succinct, and yet I think it was universal enough for people to understand
definitely.
the significance of poetry.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about your other work, too. I want to talk some about your appointment to the from the Arts Council as being the laureate. How did you get that position? You tell us about it.
Well, first of all, thank you, and I thank all who have been supportive during this first year. The appointment was made in September of 2018, so I'm rounding out my first year of 3. So the Prince George's County Arts Council, in collaboration with the Prince George's County Council, came together and established the position. First of all, put forward the legislation, and then the vote was unanimous that yes, there needs to be a poet laureate for Prince George's County. So this is the inaugural position, and I was one of the ones that was advocating for the position. And I'm saying one of because there were many persons wrote in letters of support for creating the position, and that was truly the first step to not to bring Sister Joy on, but to create a position for the county.
We never had a position like that
Absolutely, but I think the thing of it is that as the persons were looking around the country, more and more jurisdictions are establishing this vital connection to the arts.
That's a good thing. That's a great thing.
It is a great thing. It is a great thing because there is work to be done. Our communities can be enriched and uplifted and educated and connected. I mean, don't get me started. So the reality is poetry and the poet laureate position is one that is a position of service. It is one where we're looking to find ways that we can enrich the life experience of Prince Georgians here in Prince George's County. And one of the things that I did when I first came on board was to create what I call a platform statement. So it's 3-pronged. The first has to do with literacy. If you can't read and write, you're going to be left behind. So from the children through adults, literacy is essential. So that's my first prong. The second is social issues. I happen to be a poet that believes that poetry has to address the issues of the day. So sometimes it may be the issues that relate to Black Lives Matter, but sometimes it may be issues that relate to veterans who need to be heard, who need to, and the issues that need to be addressed. The third category is that of bridging cultures and really generations. We're looking to find ways that there's so many divisions in this country, but certainly in Prince George's County, we have a vastly burgeoning community where Hispanic community, Black community, older generations, veterans, are significant in our county. So how can we bring those communities and those generations together?
To the arts.
Absolutely, that's the way.
The
Children have to understand that they're a part of it. Seniors have to understand that they still have something to give. Veterans have to understand that we care about the fact that you served and we are now here to serve you. So there's so many things that through poetry, we can help, we can enrich, and we can empower. And I'm believing poetry is about empowerment.
And that's the link for me.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, because I've been doing this, like you've been doing this for years, but I never thought about it at that level.
Well,
I'm
that's
just doing what I'm
So many times people get into a cycle of doing and doing and doing, but without looking at the bigger picture. We have to look at the bigger picture, because so many times, and there are resources that are available when the presentation is made in a way that persons other than poets get it. You know, a lot of times people just, they have their plate full. They don't have time to assess why poetry. So you got to give it to them.
And we say, why not poetry?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Don't ask me about why not. Let me find a poem here.
Come on with it.
I'm going to share a poem here called Why Not?
Literally, wow.
Yeah. When you said that, I was like, now can I find that poem? I'll do this while you speak a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Well, you say why not, then I'm going to share this right now. And so why not? Then I say, why not do it for the children? In the love of every man, woman, boy, and girl, you can find the key to the heart of the world. For each and every one, got to find a better way to do what some say just can't be done. Do it for the children in all that you do and say. Do it for the children. A lifetime of love got to be a better way. Do it for the children. Teach the children the truth. The innocence of a child is a seed of truth for all to see. Teach the children the truth. They're the fruit of the family tree. There's so much that the world needs that there's just too little love. But all we really got to do is give a little more love. Do it for the children. Do it for the children and all that you do and say. Do it for the children. A lifetime of love got to be a better way. Do it for the children. Teach the children the truth. Do it for the children.
For the children, absolutely. Without the children, where would we be?
Well,
there is no future.
There ain't no future. There ain't no present.
Absolutely. As you alluded to earlier, why not is the question that so many times we have to ask. So this is, I'm going to read this poem from my first book, Lord, I'm Dancing as Fast as I Can.
Who's that pretty young lady on that cover?
This poem, this book came out in 2000, so it is, it is definitely
It's been that long?
It's been that long. This was my first book. So the poem that I'd like to share now is simply titled, Why Not? And I offer it for all who are considering a challenge that they feel perhaps they shouldn't, perhaps they couldn't. I say, yes, you can. Why not? I knew I'd never do it. I couldn't. I always wanted to, but didn't know how. Didn't even know where to start. All my life I'd been told, you can't do that. So I never questioned why. Just accepted that I couldn't, till one day I asked myself, why not? Nothing beats a failure but a try. How often I'd heard those words. Is that all they are? Empty words? Or could they hold the key? Okay, so I can't do it now. Does that mean I can never do it? What part can't I do? What part can I do? Will my ego stop me from trying because I fear I might fail? If I get over this fear, how far can I go? Until now, I never believed I could do this, never believed in myself enough to try. What else might I try if I succeed? What other fears might I conquer? Even if I fail, will things be worse than before? Maybe that's the key. That by challenging myself, I can discover new facets of me. Maybe by venturing beyond the safe and charted route, by striving towards goals once believed unattainable, I can achieve successes I never dreamed possible, successes that I would never have known without having tried or having asked, why not?
Wow.
I offer that for anyone who's at that crossroad where they inside really want to, but don't think they could. Why not?
Why not? Wow.
Why not?
And I say to that, because I'm special. Because I'm special, I have my sense of self and it's not for sale. I know who I am and I refuse to fail just because I'm special. The power of I am is my mind's master key, for the way of the will is the life force in you and me. The sacred source of all life's wealth is simply in how you look at yourself. Because I'm special, I know who I am. I got the power to succeed, and in the spirit of faith, I got all that I need. A blessing in disguise as evidence of things not seen is a secret of success and the seed of self-esteem. Because I am that I am, there's no way I can let myself down. Setbacks and stepping stones are only highest. Setbacks and stepping stones are only to higher ground. Because I am that I am, there's no way I can let myself down. Hang up setbacks are only stepping stones to higher ground. Because I'm special, I have my sense of self and it's not for sale. I know who I am and I refuse to fail just because I'm special.
All right.
It's for kids.
Yes,
But
it's for everybody.
It's for everybody.
It's for absolutely. And
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Yes, too.
Sometimes when we write a poem, we have this preconceived audience.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
as we grow into understanding the poem, even though we authored it, we do grow to understand the message that we've written.
Because sometimes the message is broader than we know.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
that's the beauty of poetry.
That's interesting because sometimes you might have one thing in mind when you write a piece, and then other people, because people interpret things by their own experience,
their own
and
life
they broaden it.
experience.
I said, oh, because I'm sure that's happened to you, right?
So many times, mostly.
And you said, well, but I was just thinking in terms of this, but the meaning is broader.
Well, and that's the beauty of poetry, and I think that's also something that validates the poem. When the scope is so much greater than what
Yes.
you initially conceived, and sometimes it takes somebody else bringing that to your attention.
Yes.
So,
Perfect example. You know my piece, Pay Me My Money.
yes,
Well, and it's an old piece.
yes.
But I do it, and I did a reading somewhere, and then somebody came to me and said, well, you know what? They're talking about reparations. That's a reparation poem.
That's a reparations. If ever there was a reparations
Pay me my
poem,
money.
that's the
Yes.
reparations poem. Yes.
Yes.
Years ago, and I don't have it with me, but I was invited to UDC to present a reparations poem, which
Really?
I was actually commissioned to write it for the university. So I crafted one, and it'll be in one of my newer books.
Oh, wow. I'm
but
looking
it
forward to
was something that I hadn't considered writing on reparations.
But when I wrote it, I was just more of a personal thing.
Yeah.
Somebody owed me something. Didn't
I
give
know
it to me.
that's
I
right.
want my money.
That's
but then
right.
it expanded to somebody said reparations. I'm like, oh, okay.
Totally, and when you look at it, it totally.
I didn't know that when I wrote that. I wasn't thinking and didn't know
probably
much
even
about no
know
reparations.
That's right. So many times.
It's
So
personal.
many times.
Yes.
Well, can I share this
Yeah,
poem
please,
here?
please.
It's called "Walking in My Skin."
Oh, come
Yeah,
on with
walking in my skin. Walking in my skin doesn't always take me to where I want to go. Seems like things I need to know elude me. At times delude me to the point of frustration. Sometimes downright devastation. Got me making missteps in dark nights, feeling like I'm fighting for my life. Yes, I am. Fighting every day, not with my fist, but my soul, trying to get to where I know I need to go. When I'm on track, I'll be listening, then lifting a word, sharing with senior and youth a message that needs to be heard. I discovered long ago, this journey, it's not just about me. Often, not about me at all. So when I get serious, allow my spirit to hear divine words from on high, that's when it's time to put drama and ego to the side. Get me out of the way. So things can finally fall into place. Then I can find a message in what looks like mess. Make these syllables count more than just metered measures of rhythm and sound. So I lift my voice not just to make some noise, but like yesterday's warriors, I'm learning to beat the odds, fighting hard to be free, walking in my skin, learning to be me.
Wow. Ooh, made you write that poem, sister?
You know what? I've looked back on this poem, and sometimes I have to go by the date, and I don't always date my poems, but clearly I was facing a challenge. I don't recall now what the challenge
was.
No, I don't recall when this poem was, but this is a poem, I know it's at least 7 or 8 years old. So it's...
Do you ever look back at something you wrote and you say, well, I feel different now, maybe I ought to change it? Or do you just say, well, it belongs to that time?
Yeah, it belongs to that time.
Yeah.
I have gone back and edited poems, but I will never totally change,
That's where you were.
because that's where I was.
At that time.
And yeah, well, I won't say that, but there are poems that clearly I'm not where I was when I wrote the particular
Right.
poem, but the poem is still valid. So it tells a truth. Whether it's my truth today or not, it tells a truth.
I think because when you write a poem sometime, and it's kind of like, if you will, a snapshot. Like you would take a picture,
Yeah,
a snapshot,
exactly.
phrase frame, that particular time where you were, or something that was happening in the culture at that time. It's
Exactly.
like taking a picture.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I look at it sometimes. And you look back and say, oh, okay, that's what was going on during that time.
During that time. And sometimes
But-
it's what was going on in society.
Yes.
Sometimes it's what's going on in our personal experience.
Yeah, that's true.
And sometimes it tends to shadow both ways.
Yeah,
and
it
it's
is, yeah.
interesting when we realize how
Yeah.
much a part of the life experience, even of this country, we are, because we think it's personal. But when we look at the message, no, this is
Broader
about what's
message.
happening, and this is why it's happening, because we are in this place, called America, called society, called the world, but it affects us. And it gives us the messages. Sometimes there are messages that are about our personal journey, but sometimes that spills over.
Now, let me say to those who may be just tuning in to Color Me Poetry, my guest today is Sister Joy Alford, and she is the, Sister Joy. We all know it's Sister Joy. We
Yes.
love her, Sister Joy. But she is the Port Lawyer for PG County, or Prince George's County, as you would
Thank you
say.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that in itself is, I can't even say it enough how grateful I am as a poet and a writer here in the county to be. I feel like a part of that, you know.
Oh, you absolutely contributed to that.
Mhm.
I would like to think that there are many persons who are contributing to the poetry
Collective
scene
sense,
today.
yes.
Absolutely, there's
Yeah.
so much work to be done, and there's no battle over territorial rights.
No.
Hey, we're welcoming all.
I'm-
If you have something to give, if you're willing to do the work, I mean, poetry in and of itself is about service.
Yes, it is.
Yes, there are fun times when we get on the mic and we get on the stage
And we do fun stuff,
We
yeah.
have a ball. We love this thing called
Yeah.
poetry, but that doesn't negate the reality that there's work, and whether you're doing work with today's youth, whether you're uplifting a community in need, whether you're showing that poetry is a way to become empowered,
Living
giving
art form.
somebody a voice,
Yes.
opening a platform for an
Yes.
organization. There are so many things that can occur through poetry.
And I love to hear young people read their poetry.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I can't flow like these young folks do
Some of these young
today,
people are
and
something.
it's amazing when I see it done. I love it. It's not my gift, but I love it. And so there's a camp that I've worked now for the past, 13 years with Maryland National Capital Park and Planning.
And
It's
they
called
just flow.
Expressions Talk Up,
Wow.
Not Down. And we have usually about between 36 and 40 teens every summer for
Wow.
like 7 to 10 days. And those teens come in, they have to relinquish all electronic devices, no cell phones, no radio,
Really?
no TV. And we're based
that like?
we're based at a 4-H camp in Prince George's County in Upper Marlboro. And these teens come in initially upset that they had to release electronics, which is a major
Yeah.
culture shock.
That's right, because
But-
they're not used to that.
Right, but the reality is we work with the 4-H staff and the teens, and we have we have 2 visual artists, we have a counselor, and there's 5 poets.
Wow.
And this camp takes these teens through an experience where they understand that what we're teaching them for poetry is in fact life skills.
Yes.
And so
sometimes survival skills.
Exactly. And sometimes we unfortunately learn that there are those who didn't learn the lessons, and or for whatever reason they don't quite make it through. But so many times we take the young ones who came in clearly troubled, and then we hear about them graduating from college.
Yeah,
It is
that's a great
incredible.
feeling.
It's
That's a high, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
You
it's such
can't
a high.
buy that. Absolutely. So I love the work that can be done and is being done right here in Prince George's County through poetry. And our youth are given opportunities to find their voice, to lift their voice, to go into places. Certainly there is the Prince George's Youth Poetry Program. And
tell us about that, because I'm not familiar with all the different programs.
Mijan Cradle is also known as Royalty MC, or is it MC Royalty? I should know, I'm sorry, Mijan. But this young man is the 2019 Youth Poet Laureate.
Oh, really?
And
in the county?
In the county.
Wow.
And he is the 4th Youth Poet Laureate.
Good, I'm going to get him on here.
County.
We got to get him on here.
Yes, you do.
Give me the hookup.
This table would be confining for him, I want you to know.
We'll put him in the corner.
No, I'm saying he would be all over this space doing his thing. And he is incredible, the work that he is doing, and he's letting the voice of the youth be heard. But in addition to the Youth Poet Laureate, they have a competitive process where it's an interview, it's a writing competition, and a performance competition. And so there's 13 teens that vie for this position. So the ones that don't make it become youth poetry ambassadors for that year. So there's still an opportunity for growth, for experience, for providing platforms. And these young people are traveling throughout Prince George's County and beyond, because they just got back from Las Vegas, where they competed. And Mijan, I understand, won the first place in MC category. So they're making the voice of today's youth heard. And I couldn't be more proud. Patrick Washington and Neville Adams head that program and have done so for the past 4 years. So if you really want to connect with young folks, contact either of them, and they'll see to it that some of the youth...
Well, if you can hook me up, that's fine.
Consider it done. Consider it done, yes.
To those young people, I'd like to share this poem here, and simply entitled, Born to be Blessed. Food for the soul. On the wings of faith from heaven on high, you need to know that you can make it if you try. Though life will always put faith to the test through it all, you got to know you're born to be blessed. But success is not yours to have in the first degree without challenge, setbacks, and lifelong adversity. The day you were given breath of life is the day you were born with a divine birthright. When in your heart you know you're born to win, you can never lose a sense of who you are within. The reality of a dream come true is based on faith, focus, and follow through. To know you're born from the seed of success is to know in your soul that you're born to be blessed. For on the wings of heaven, from the wings of faith from heaven on high, you need to know that you can make it if you try. Born to be blessed.
All right, absolutely. A wonderful message for young and old.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There ain't no age limit on that.
None whatsoever.
At all.
None.
Please share with us, Sister Nuff, and then we want to talk about your books after.
Okay. Well, lest it be perceived that I only write about social consciousness. I'd like to share a poem that's titled "Duet at Dawn" on a different theme.
Poetic activist. Come on.
Okay. This is "Duet at Dawn." The mystery of this day beckons me with my third eye. I seek to understand and embrace a chance to dance again. Mine has been solo for so long. Today I trust. What must I do to prevent yesterday's pitfalls? Memory of them feels foreign in this place. Today I choose steps scripted by faith, so I shall not falter. This new music we share belongs only to us. No echoes exist in this, our sanctuary of discovery. I claim ours as virgin, for none before has this moment been unveiled. We take our cues from one another and from God, giving and receiving, bending and weaving, creating a new fabric. We wrap ourselves in this glorious garb of anticipation and expectation, testing each new strand. Together, we will stand through trials and storms that will surely come our way, welcoming and embracing the mystery, dancing a wondrous new duet of love.
So beautiful, sister. Now let's talk about your books.
Certainly. Well,
that's the flagship.
Flagship, Lord, I'm Dancing as Fast as I Can, is came out in 2000, and I chose to specifically
love that
not.
cover too, sister.
Well, thank you. I was in a spot up on Capitol Hill called Ellington's on 8th. You may remember it was a jazz club, and I used to go there to support the jazz artists whom was it Vince Evans and Donna Edwards? Not Donna. Oh my gosh, can't think of Donna's last name. But Donna was a bass player, and she was incredible. I can't think of her last name now. But anyway, Donna and Vince inspired this cover because I was there in the club, and a photographer came in. Gerald Barnes did a photo shoot while I was there.
Oh, while you performing?
While I was sharing poetry, and everybody says, "Oh, you sing?" I said, "No, I was performing poetry. It may look like I'm singing, but I was just into the poem." And of course, that's what we do. We become one with the poem.
Well, you make poetry sing.
Absolutely. Thank you. Now this, actually, this was the second book, From Pain to Empowerment, The Fabric of My Being.
What that about? That title?
Because I was working with women's support groups, and so many of the poems in this book are about overcoming adversity through faith.
Something you want to read from that?
Sure, I can.
Come on with
pick
it.
anyone. Pick anyone.
Yeah, anything.
Okay. Freedom. There are some that will know you only through the stroke of a brush, the melody of a song, the truth of a word. There are some that would welcome you, but for burdens carried, not deserved. Their yoke pressed firm to deny even air to fill lungs, lest hope's cry be heard. It is for them that I press pen to page, dream in technicolor starburst, sing stereophonic symphonies in octaves audible only by ears that burn with yearn for freedom's song. It is for them that I shout from mountaintops. It is for them that I strive to create beauty from tears.
Wow.
Yeah. Freedom.
Stop lying. If you tell one lie, you got to tell two. Then before you know it, lying is second nature to you. When there's no foundation of truth on which to stand, living a lovable lie is like walking on quicksand. And there ain't no way naked truth can ever fly on the wings of a well-dressed lie. A lie told on the truth is not something you can defend, because truth across the earth will always come up again. So let the truth be your guide in your lust to tell a lie, and you will find that you can stop it if you try. For if you lie to yourself, you'll lie to any and everybody else. And there ain't no way naked truth can ever fly on the wings of a well-dressed lie. Because if you tell one lie, you got to tell two. Then before you know it, lying is second nature to you. Stop lying.
Stop lying.
Stop lying to yourself first.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, how beautiful. Yes. Oh, man. So is there another book in the making?
Well, there's a third book here today.
Third book.
Yeah, there's a third book. Okay, this is called This Garden Called Life.
Oh.
And this book really was brought about through my working with those teens that I mentioned earlier.
Well, share something.
Oh, gosh.
Is there a title poem?
There's not a title poem in the book.
Wow.
But one of the poems that is in this book, as well as this poem, appears in all three of my books because it's so frequently requested.
Okay.
So it's titled, Get Out of My Way. Would somebody please tell yesterday to get out of my way? Tell her to stop bulldozing my dreams, stop trampling my tomorrows and knocking me down every time I try to get ahead. Would somebody please tell yesterday to get on back to where hope be broken, choice be gone, so me and mine can stand a chance to rise above yesterday's can'ts. Now I know, yesterday been around a long time. She probably figures she's gonna be around forever. She done seen the new millennium come in. A lot of folks didn't, you know, because of yesterday. A lot of young folks, yesterday took them. Of course, it took a lot of old folks too. Took my mama and daddy. Yesterday just keep on taking folks and their dreams and their hopes. She take anything in lockdown, I suppose. That's why I'll be real careful these days, 'cause I'm tired of yesterday showing up all over the place. You see, I've been working too hard trying to keep my stuff together, getting ready for tomorrow, for yesterday to just come up in here and take it all away. But when a body don't lock their stuff up tight, doing what's right, staying 2 steps ahead of yesterday with a stick in one hand and a Bible in the other, yesterday can sure enough knock you down. Keep your dreams from ever getting off the ground. Well, I say yesterday done took enough. So I put locks on all my stuff. My soul be locked on Jesus. My heart be locked on my man. My children be locked in the cradle of my love with my 2 strong hands guiding them, showing them the way, away from yesterday. My home be locked in a sacred shield, anointed with God's special blessing, because you see, ain't nobody messing with something I worked that hard for. My job be locked down with 30 plus years with me praying that I'm moving in the right direction. Yeah, I got locks on all my stuff, and I'll be ready for tomorrow. So somebody, anybody, everybody, won't you please tell yesterday to stay out of my way? Because you see, it's time for tomorrow to let her light shine. And you know, there's one thing for sure. Tomorrow's the one place yesterday can't go.
Love that. Oh.
Thank you. Ooh. So that's a message that I lift to young people in particular. But as you know, it's a message for everybody. Yes.
Yeah. This message here is one of inspiration and, well, I say inspiration and motivation. It's called the law of attraction. Fly high and dreams are forever fulfilled. You can have, do, and be whatever you will. Whether it's for better or for worse, the law of attraction unlocks the universe. Focus on lack and life will give you even more of what you never knew you were asking for. As the law of attraction is but the master key, you are the sole creator of your own reality. What you think, feel, and ultimately receive is a reproduction of what you secretly believe. Graceful gratitude will open the door to a whole new world you never knew before. Focus beyond what you hold in your hand. For your every wish is the law of life's command. The power behind the mind's magnetic field is a way out of no way made real. And whether it's for better or for worse, the law of attraction unlocks the universe. What you think, feel, and ultimately receive is a reproduction of what you secretly believe. The law of attraction. Yes, absolutely. I believe in the law of attraction.
Oh.
And the power of the subconscious mind.
All right. That's the limitless universe right there. That's the limitless. Yes. I'd like to share a poem that I offer in homage to my hometown, Washington, D.C.
Come on with it.
And this one is this year, so it's relatively recent that I wrote it. D.C., my hometown, a place where hoodies are worn despite, where music like courtrooms, construction, and traffic sounds are more than a vibe, but the heartbeat that says this city is alive. A place changing more than most can comprehend. Chocolate still fills metro trains and news headlines, especially when bullets fly. I am now tourist, viewing transitions like elections that gentrify and condos that show there's no room in the inn for folks whose green is too short. The pendulum has swung. Statehood looms on the horizon. I guess now we'll see what it all means. DC.
Wow. Well, let me come on back. You know, this used to be called what?
Chocolate City.
Well, come on with it. This is for all the sisters. Chocolate City candy. Just a taste of you makes my life so complete. Learning to love you is a special treat. The little loving things you do forever makes your honey sweet. Your good and plenty loving just knocks me off my feet. You're my sugar baby, peppermint patty pearl. My M&M plain Chocolate City candy girl. My lifetime lightsaber, Fifth Avenue, Lovers Lane Park. My budded finger, whatchamacallit, says sweetness in the dark. Now and later, you'll always be my Mary Jane, my baby Ruth, my mounds of almond joy. Chocolate, I'm sweet too. Let me be your payday sugar daddy galore. Your 100 grand, Mr. Goodbye for sure. And when you turn on your total Tipsy Road charms, Your chocolate cherry kisses make me melt in your arms. You're my sugar baby, peppermint patty pearl, my M&M plain, chocolate city, candy girl.
I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, wow, he did that.
I was a teenager when I wrote that, girl.
Oh, really?
I was a baby then.
Oh, my goodness. I love it still. I love it still.
Not quite a baby, but I was.
Yeah, well, I mean, you had your share. You knew the candy roll.
Yeah, I had to come with it now.
Yes, yes.
Oh, man, this has been so beautiful.
Thank you. How much time do we have?
Don't worry, we'll go until they cut us off.
We go until we cut us off. Okay. That'll work.
Now, your third book. Now, what was it like putting together the third book? What was the inspiration to do the third book you did?
Well, I mean, I wanted to say something to the youth and about the youth. Okay. And so it was that message, a series of messages that I had shared, sometimes during the camps, sometimes inspired to write at the camps.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I mean,
what was that like? Now, let me ask this, since you said that. Now, as a writer, as a poet, do you have to be a special place? I mean, do you have to be at home or in the library, in the park?
No. I tend to write in front of my computer most times because it flows more quickly.
In private?
Definitely in private.
Okay.
Distractions don't work for me.
Yeah,
I literally sometimes
we on the same page.
If there's music playing with no words,
yes,
I can
softly.
Yeah, I can handle that.
Any particular kind of music?
But I love jazz.
Yeah, I do too.
I love jazz.
Yeah.
So, but if it's music that I love and it's got lyrics, then it's going to pull me to,
Yes.
So I don't want that.
I want instrumental.
Yeah, I want instrumental. Yeah, Brother and I lift up his name because he is one who has been just incredible for the arts in Washington D.C. and beyond. And if you're listening, Brother please just know that I'm sending love and healing and just well wishes for you.
Yes.
Brother opened many doors for myself and for my group, Collective Voices, over the years, and his work as a world musician.
He's helped so many people.
Absolutely.
Myself included.
Absolutely. And whether on WPFW or just coming out to events in the community.
He's been there.
He has made a difference. He introduced me to jazz in a way back in the beginning of Collective Voices, and I remember he said, well, Sister Joy, I want you to take these albums and you select the music that you want to accompany the poetry that Collective Voices is going to do. And talk about overwhelmed. Because I did not know anything about jazz at the time, but that was one of the great lessons that he gave me. And of course, the selection, I came to later understand that he was entrusting me in a major way to give me albums to take home and listen. I mean, people don't do that with jazz classics that, but he is one who gives from the heart because he loves music and he loves the arts.
And he loves the community. I like to dedicate a poem to him, a spiritual poem to him, because we all love Brother R, and I work with him 2, 3, 4 CDs. And the poem is simply entitled, I Am Because God Is, and I dedicate it to my brother R. Because of the God force within me, he is mine, then I am his, for I am what I am, all because God is. God is my heavenly Father from up on high and above, for he's the light of all life in the spirit of heavenly love. And when I find that I'm in need of heaven's intensive love and care, I just bow my head and whisper a prayer. And when light suddenly smiles upon me with a frown, and all my ops start to look down, I put my trust in God, because he's always around. My God is forever mine, as I am eternally his. For I am what I am, all because God is.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yes. Come on with it, sister. I know you got something for me.
Okay, this is a piece that I wrote last year, but it is a significant piece for me, and it's titled Word, subtitled The Battle. Okay. Words sometimes glide from my fingertips, appearing on computer screens that scream back at me. I want them to say soft things, warm, wonderful, enriching things, but seldom is word or way in this world. This increasingly degenerative place in which generations have been coerced, compromised, and killed, and many today continue to navigate from a posture of fear. Creeping from under my fingernails, words spill onto white screens through whisper or shout. Revelatory gems that awaken ancient echoes, touchstones that have lain dormant far too long, but now build vigor and fervor within me Exigent issues connecting sinew with synapse call me to task, remind me that generational faith resides within me. Such has prepared me to be witness, bridge, and word warrior. For much has been given me and been given up for me. More than my own mortality, humanity's moral trajectory reminds me that time is fleeting, that the chain upon which pendulums swing seems indeterminately long, but is not indeterminately strong. Let it not break from the weight of my delay or the rightful rage of oppressed people. Warfare is no way to experience life, but till need be filled, I will navigate this wasteland, imbued with strength of truth and power of word. I will don breastplate and swing machete against the empathy barren, genocidal, and indifferent. In warrior mode, I shall seek sanctuary or create one for the innocent if none be found. I will work skin to bone, brittle and broke, stand before dragon and demon, slash with word, prayer, and blade all who would strive to victimize or annihilate. For our village is essential. I understand this now and have come to honor, revere, and protect. Anything less leaves me defeated and disgraced. I have been assigned and equipped for the task. So while these words on my screen often scream back at me, I have accepted this assignment. My words will not be silent. I will wail them well to ensure they are heard, known, felt beyond the whiteness of screen and page, till word, though black, run red like blood in my veins, pouring through each page and stage of my life.
Wow.
Word.
Word up. Word up. Yeah, speaking of words, I'm going to give you a word, and just let me know what you think. Reparations.
Okay, do. Yeah, reparations. The question is how to make it work, because it's not about money, although money is needed.
Money, yeah, of course money is needed.
It's not about vengeance. That serves no purpose except to destroy, to further destroy. But reparations, I think, is something that allows and requires an understanding of what was taken. It's more than the years of free labor. It's more than the lynchings, and nothing can ever provide reparations for the lost lives, for the families that were torn apart, for the children that don't know parent, let alone grandparent. Reparations is that thing that allows humanity to once again be whole. And it's not isolated to America. You know, we as black people in America certainly have a strong connection to the word, but we don't own it.
No, we don't own it.
We absolutely
don't. It belongs to all of us, wherever we are in the
continent. Yes. I mean, clearly the continent has to be made whole, but can it happen through humanity? It's one that you can't not act because it will never be enough. But it will never be enough. Let that be understood.
Dr. John Henry Clark said we lost 100 million in the Middle Passage alone. Yes. And that brings me to this point. Okay. Some people call it my reparation form. Okay. I didn't think of it like that, but some people call it that. Okay. Pay me my money. Okay. Just so you pay me all that I'm due. If you have to rob Peter to pay Paul, that's on you. I'm coming from all ends just to make ends meet. So I'm overworked, underpaid, and dead on my feet. Don't want to rain on nobody's parade, but I want what I need, and I'm trying to get paid. And if you don't have it, no, I won't try and understand. So pay me my money, all of my money, just as soon as you can. I can't help but to regret it, because sometimes it's gone before I get it. And if I had what's due to me instead of just make it due, I could pay Peter, Paul and Mr. Bobo too. Don't mean to rain on nobody's parade, but I want what I need, and I'm trying to get paid. And if you don't have it, no, I won't try and understand. So pay me my money, all of my money, just as soon as you can. Pay me my money.
All right.
Reparations poem.
That's a reparations poem.
Though it's not always about money, it's about a whole lot of things, but
right.
Money got to come into it some kind of way.
You
cannot
leave that out.
apologize.
Yeah, you can't leave that out.
And then they leave that out.
Yeah, because if that was the case, then all the millions and billions that were made possible for other communities
Yes.
would...
They did what they did for money.
Yeah, for money. That was clearly so. I'd like to share a piece that's simply called Whispers of Revelation. Right about now, I wish I had my partner on djembe, Doc Powell. I wish he were with me with the djembe drum. Yes, yes. So, Doc, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Whispers of Revelation. Distant drumming awakened me. Whispers from an unknown origin calling my name. Beating inside my soul. Calling me. Pulling me to a place I've never known. The pulse, even now, echoes inside my mind. My spirit dances in new ways. The whispers entrance me with their sound, as ancient as all the yesterdays of the universe. They create an awareness I cannot fully comprehend, an excitement I cannot control, a yearning I dare not ignore. They tell me, go to the place where tomorrow is born, the place where eternity awaits the undoing of today's dilemmas. Go to the place, they say, where time answers the questions of lost and unanswered dreams, of undiscovered purpose. Go to the place where footprints sealed in the sands of yesterday, unearthed, become a reality, preordained by the designer of destiny and fate. The echo of distant drums call my name. They await the day I answer their call. The whispers, the whispers, the whispers entreat me to come. Come, they say, come, discover why you are here.
The whispers. Yes. Somebody loves you.
All right. All right.
Somebody needs you.
All right.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that was, sister, that's beautiful. Now, the only thing we haven't talked about, well, a whole lot more I could talk about, we haven't talked about your show.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you for mentioning that. Yes, a few minutes here. My television show on the local access channel in Prince George's County on CTV is titled Sojourn with Words.
Yes.
We are now in year 13.
13.
13 years.
Wow,
we have been recognized national awards for excellence in cultural programming. We have had some incredible guests on the show. Amiri Baraka stands tall as one of my favorites. We have had many local poets, but we've also had poets from across the country to come and be guests on the show. So many things that happen, but the show's format is one of performance and interview. Similar to this, but we have kind of a living room set, and then we, for performance, we separate from the living room and stand on mic. It's a half-hour show, so it goes super quick. We don't have an hour like you have.
Well, I used to have a living room when I was at Bowie doing company poetry. It took the living room from me.
Oh, but that's
put me out the house.
But and then so you stepped into the world stage here, so that's not a bad transition.
Yeah,
that's not a bad transition at all. So folks hear your show all around the world. And we're working on that. We're working on trying to have the show to be excerpts on YouTube so that we can allow persons from around the world to hear the guests that we bring on.
And I thank you for a few years ago for having me on. That was magnificent. Now, in the last few minutes we have here, how can folk get in touch with you?
Certainly, you can be in touch with me at Poet Sister Joy, PoetSistaHJoy at AOL.com, or you can get in touch with me at sisterjoy at pgahc.org. And that's again SISTAHJOY at pgahc.org. And that is Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council. The position of the Poet Laureate is through the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council. So big shout out to Rhonda Dallas and to Melanie Griffith. I don't want to start the list. Joshua Reynolds, I'll get in trouble, and I'm already in trouble. But thank you all for the work and the opportunity to represent Prince George's County. And I'm looking for poets to present at the various programs that I'm hosting. Currently, we're closing out the 2019 monthly Poet Laureate Reading Series, which has been traveling through all 9 districts of Prince George's County, presenting poetry, engaging the community of poets, but also of visual artists, of musicians, and vocalists. We are primarily poetry series, but we always bring in other art forms to allow the community that comes out to have a full and rich experience of the arts, based in poetry, but always including as many art genres as we can.
That's beautiful. Sister, we thank you for coming and sharing with us today on Color Me Poetry. Looking forward to having you back, and we can connect you, because that's so important. Your position is the first, but it's also monumental position as a poet.
And we're looking forward to, there will be an application process after this 3rd year. Well, we're in year 1 now, closing out year 1. But we will be having an application for persons who want to serve, because it is a position of service. And you can apply for the position, but you got to be serious about your poetry and the community. It's not about the poet. The poet gets to enjoy poetry, but if you're not serving, then that's not what we want.
That's so beautiful. And we're looking forward to having you back. And this I had $1 million other questions.
Well, you see, I only got through a few poems.
Right, you didn't get to a few, but it's all good.
So thank you so much for having me on. I enjoyed it. I absolutely enjoyed it. Thank you to your technician, your engineer, I should say, Anthony over there. I don't know if the camera picks him up, but making all of this possible. And congratulations on Color Me Poetry, continuing to serve now the world through poetry.
Thank you so much. And also, let me say, I have a new book coming out next month, and it's simply entitled, getting the blank, The Book of Tributes. New poems from poet Danny Queen, and then, of course, new music also from me, and new recordings as well. So I just love it. It's a beautiful thing. And let me say thank you once again for coming and sharing. We're going to have you back. I'm Poet Danny Queen. This is Color Me Poetry. And until next time, color me poetry. I am, I can, and I will. Be at peace.
All right.